If your chest is tight and your breath is caught in your throat, just let it be. If your eyes are welling up with tears right now, just let them flow. If you feel a lump in your throat and your voice is cracking, go ahead and let it out. Cry it out. Because every single basketball fan in the city of New York, every single person who has worn the orange and blue, has waited for this exact, unimaginable moment since 1973. 53 years. 53 long, agonizing, heartbreaking years of waiting, hoping, doubting, and suffering. And tonight, the agonizing wait is finally, officially over. What a spectacular, heart-stopping game. Seriously, my hands are still shaking. My heart was pounding so hard against my ribs in that terrifying fourth quarter that I thought it was gonna burst right through my chest. God, Allah, Wahaguru, whatever power people believed in, every single soul watching from Madison Square Garden to the nosebleeds of the Frost Bank Center was begging, praying, pleading with the universe. Please, God, not this time. Not tonight. Please don't let our hearts break again. We can't handle another heartbreak. And maybe, just maybe, it was the collective power of those millions of desperate prayers that carried the New York Knicks across the finish line. Against all odds, defying every single piece of history, the Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5 to capture the 2026 NBA championship. Let's be completely honest with ourselves for a second. When the third quarter ended, this victory felt absolutely, completely impossible. The Spurs were up by 7. They had all the momentum. Victor Wembanyama was playing like an alien god, a literal cheat code, erasing everything at the rim, altering every single shot, and making our offense look completely paralyzed. To make matters worse, Karl Anthony Towns was in absolute foul trouble, picking up his 5th and eventually walking off the floor after fouling out. The arena was deafening, the Spurs fans were tasting a Game 6, and the rookie Dylan Harper was completely shredding our second unit to pieces. I am putting my hand on my heart right now and telling you, deep down inside, I thought it was over. I really did. I looked at the screen and thought, here we go again. How does this keep happening to us? It's 1994 all over again. It's 1999 all over again. We are going to choke this away. The series is going to shift, and we are going to lose. In 2024, in 2025, we felt that exact same crushing sting of playoff disappointment. The tears we shed back then were bitter, angry, and full of sorrow. It felt like a curse. You just sit there thinking, why us? Why does the basketball god hate New York? But tonight, the universe looked down at the city of New York and said, no, not this time, not tonight. Tonight, you are going to fight through the mud, you are going to bleed, and you are going to march out of this arena as champions. And they did it. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks are the champions of the basketball world. Think about where this team came from. Think about all the years we were the laughingstock of the NBA. The endless lottery picks that didn't pan out, the terrible front office decisions, the media mocking us day in and day out, the constant jokes that New York would never see a banner again. Every analyst, every expert, every casual fan on social media was doubting us. They said we didn't have enough depth. They said we were too small. They said Wembanyama was going to completely swallow this team alive. But Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and this entire gritty, relentless squad made sure that tonight, 53 years later, we can finally cry tears of absolute joy. They made sure that we get to be the living witnesses to this historic, beautiful night. Decades from now, we will look back and say, I was there. I watched that game. I saw the New York Knicks pull off the impossible, climbing back from the dead when nobody else believed they could. Let's talk about the fourth quarter, because what Jalen Brunson did out there on that hardwood was nothing short of a basketball masterpiece. It was a legendary, defining performance that will be talked about as long as the game of basketball is played. When the entire team was gasping for air, when the offense looked totally stuck and the championship was slipping through our fingers, our captain stood up. Jalen Brunson put the entire city of New York on his back and put on an absolute clinic. The man went on a personal, ruthless 13-0 run. Think about the cold-blooded composure it takes to do that in a hostile, screaming arena against a defense anchored by a 7'4" monster. He hit the mid-range pull-ups, drove fearlessly into the teeth of the defense, absorbed the contact, and just kept scoring. 13 straight points! He completely flipped the script of the entire game on its head. And then, the absolute dagger. The play that will be replayed in every championship montage for the rest of time. OG Anunoby drives hard to the rim, rises up into the air, and attacks with everything he has. Wembanyama flies out of nowhere with his ridiculous wingspan, trying to erase the shot, but the whistle blows. Goaltending. The ball rattles through, the points count, and the Knicks take a 3-point lead. My God, my goosebumps had goosebumps! My voice was completely gone from screaming at the television. But of course, because it's the New York Knicks, it couldn't just be an easy stroll to the finish line. It had to be dramatic. It had to test our souls. With the clock ticking down to the final seconds, Josh Hart, the heart and soul of this team, the guy who does all the dirty work, steps up to the free throw line. He shoots, and it clangs off the rim. A collective gasp echoed across all 5 boroughs of New York. The physical pit in my stomach returned instantly. It felt like time literally slowed down to a crawl. If the Spurs get the rebound, they have a chance to tie it with a 3. But right out of the shadows, crashing through 3 white jerseys, Mitchell Robinson leaps into the air and snatches the offensive rebound right out of the sky. He secures the ball, secures the clock, and secures the Larry O'Brien Championship trophy. That single rebound was the culmination of 53 years of hustle, sweat, and tears. When the final buzzer sounded, the raw emotion that exploded on that court was overwhelming. Seeing Jalen Brunson drop straight down to his knees on the hardwood, burying his face in his hands, crying his eyes out as the confetti rained down on his shoulders. That was the moment the dam broke for all of us. Those weren't just Brunson's tears. Those were the tears of Willis Reed, of Walt Frazier, of Patrick Ewing, of Carmelo Anthony, and of every single fan who has cheered through the darkest days of this franchise. That was the raw, unedited emotion of a man who knew he had just delivered on a promise to the most passionate basketball city on earth. But what happened right after the buzzer, amidst all the wild chaos and celebration, is what truly showed the world the character of this team. While the rest of the Knicks players were jumping up and down, hugging each other, and running around the court in pure euphoria, Jalen Brunson stopped. He looked across the floor and saw Victor Wembanyama. The 7'4" young superstar was sitting completely isolated on the Spurs bench, totally devastated, weeping openly into a towel. The crushing weight of losing a finals on your home floor is a heavy, terrible thing, and the young Frenchman was completely heartbroken. Jalen Brunson didn't just keep celebrating. He handed the game ball away, walked completely past his shouting teammates, and marched straight over to the emotional young center. Brunson bent down, pulled the towering Wembanyama into a tight, incredibly warm embrace, and just held him there for a long moment. You could see Brunson whispering words of profound encouragement into his ear, tapping him on the back, telling him to keep his head held high, telling him that his time was coming and that he had played like an absolute warrior. Wembanyama hugged him back tightly, resting his head against the shoulder of the man who had just defeated him. Man, talk about ultimate respect. Serious, heartfelt respect for Jalen Brunson. That single image is already viral across the globe, and it represents everything beautiful about professional sports. In the absolute peak moment of his professional life, the moment he reached the mountaintop after a grueling season, Brunson chose to show empathy. He chose to comfort his defeated rival instead of rubbing it in. The Knicks officially won the basketball trophy tonight, but Jalen Brunson won the hearts of every single sports fan across the globe. That is the mark of a true generational leader. That is what a real champion looks like. Tonight, the entire city of New York is alive. Times Square is flooded with people cheering. Horns are honking in Brooklyn. Bars are overflowing in Queens. And the Empire State Building is glowing in bright orange and blue. We have every right to celebrate like crazy tonight because we earned this. This fan base has stuck through thick and thin, through terrible seasons and heartbreaking playoff exits, and tonight is our reward. We can say it loud and clear for the entire world to hear. Stand up, New York, put your hands together and applaud the new kings of the basketball world. The drought is dead, the ghosts of the past are gone, and the glory has finally returned to Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, look at your TV screens, look at the newspapers, look at the banners. The New York Knicks are the 2026 NBA champions. We actually did it.